Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1677B, and today's date is September 30th, 2018, and the title of the episode is High Alert, Social Media Blackout Comms Activated. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Rob Kirby. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It'll bring you right to the interview. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com site or NewSentinel.com site. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You can play the interview right on the site. Or go to Steemit, that is Steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are in a panic. They're afraid, they're scared, they're doing whatever they possibly can to stop what is about to happen, and that is Kavanaugh getting confirmed. We understand that Trump said, go ahead, do an FBI investigation. I do believe that this will be the best thing to shut everyone up. But we can see how afraid they are getting. And remember, if we go back to Q's post, those people that screamed the loudest, well, they have the most to hide. And what's very interesting is that personal information of Senators Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, Orrin Hatch was posted to Wikipedia Thursday during the hearing of the Supreme Court nominee Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Now, the information included home addresses, phone numbers. It was posted to the senators' respective Wikipedia pages where users are allowed to make edits, all of which are logged by Wikipedia, include the editor's IP addresses. Now, what's very interesting about all of this is that the IP address that was used to dox the senators was quickly traced back to the House of Representatives. And where was it traced to? It was the office of Representative Maxine Waters. And the IP address was tied to Waters' staffer, Kathleen Sengstock. Now, Maxine Waters came out and said she is utterly disgusted by the spread of the completely false, absurd, and dangerous lies and conspiracy theories that are being peddled by ultra-right-wing pundits, outlets, websites who are promoting a fraudulent claim that a member of my staff was responsible for the release of the personal information of members of the United States Senate on Wikipedia. Waters also claimed that the United States Capitol Police and our internal IT specialists have determined that the IP address in question does not belong to my office or anyone on my staff. The member of my staff, whose identity, personal information, and safety has been compromised as a result of these fraudulent and false allegations. Now, of course, we haven't really seen the report on this, and they've done a full investigation already. Well, that was pretty darn fast. How did that happen? But we need to go back to post 2086. And this is from Q. This is back September 5th. And it says, Letters from Committee on Financial Services, Maxine Waters, California ranking member. How do you obstruct oversight? How do you obtain inside knowledge to closed-door financial investigations? Remember, she's the head of she's the ranking member of this, of the financial services. And then Q went on to say, those who are the loudest have the most to fear hide. Money talks. And Maxine Waters lately has been screaming and yelling about impeachment. She didn't like what was going on because she knows with Kavanaugh, if he is confirmed, guess what happens? And you can see that most likely she is behind this. But again, do we have enough proof? No, we have an IP address. And I don't believe that the IT specialist and the Capitol Police, they've done this incredible investigation saying, no, it was not her IP address, which is kind of ridiculous. But we could see that these people are very, very afraid of what is happening. We see right now that Christine Ford, she might have been caught in a lie. Now, she talked about back in 2012 when she was in couple counseling that she wanted another front door. She wanted 2 front doors on her house, and this is why she remembers about, talking to her therapist in 2012 because it was during the remodeling of her home. She wanted 2 front doors, and this is what she said. The reason this came up in counseling is that my husband and I had completed a very extensive, very long remodel of our home, and I insisted on a second front door, an idea that he and others disagreed with and could not understand. And in explaining why I wanted a second front door, I began to describe the assault in detail. I recall saying that the boy who assaulted me could someday be on the U.S. Supreme Court, and spoke a bit about his background at an elitist all-boys school in Bethesda, Maryland. My husband recalls that I named my attacker as Brett Kavanaugh. Now, the Gateway pundit looked at different photos, looked at the timestamps of Dr. Ford's home. And when you look at it, you can see back in 2007, the house has one front door. Moving forward to March 2011 and February 2011, it clearly shows she has two front doors. So this is before 2012. So this didn't happen in 2012. This happened way before that, and it was already completed in the beginning of 2011. So that means their construction was being done in 2010. And if we look at pictures in 2015, their two front doors are still there. So it looks like she might have lied about this couple counseling, mentioning Brett Kavanaugh and the two front doors, because something, again, doesn't fit. Now, the mainstream media, the deep state, they're pushing their agenda still with North Korea. I mean, first they started with they're not denuclearizing, then North Korea is responsible for the cyber attacks, and now they're saying that the U.S. has to lift the sanctions or North Korea is not going to denuclearize. But once again, we need to understand is that Trump has an agreement with Kim Jong-un. They pass letters back and forth. They have an understanding that sanctions will be in place. They'll be removed as soon as they're done. And they understand this. But I think what the mainstream media is doing is they don't understand this agreement, and they're trying to use whatever tactic they possibly can to disrupt what is going on in North Korea. But it is not going to be possible. We see the Libya Unity Government, the GNA, was set up under the UN brokered agreement. And this is not an elected government in Libya. This was a handful of individuals that were chosen by the U.S. and many other countries through the UN and put into place. Now, the people didn't elect this government, and this government is having a huge amount of problems. The people are not behind this government, and we can see already that rival administrations based in the country, especially the one with Khalifa Haftar, he is refusing to recognize the GNA's authority, and we can see that the UN-backed government, the deep state government that they put into place, they're losing their power, and eventually what's going to happen is the people are going to take over. We see Russia is saying that the United Nations and the U.S. military, they have failed to fulfill their obligation regarding the withdrawal from the Tanf zone in southern Syria. Now remember, the deep state is in the Al-Tanf area. The deep state is in Idlib. They have their paid mercenary armies. They have forces that they control there. And we can see that they're not cooperating with the agreement that was made. Now, of course, as we know, the deep state, they don't want to leave this area. They still believe they have power. And even though the patriots are in control, there's still deep state operatives within government. I mean, look at Rod Rosenstein. Look at others that are still there. I mean, still, there are many, many more that have to be removed, and especially those individuals that are still working in other parts of the world. So we can see that certain individuals are still in control, but times are changing, and we can see that the clock is now ticking down in Syria, and eventually what's going to happen, they will lose control completely. We can even see that the U.S. envoy to Syria, Jim Jeffries, he's out there saying, listen, if Assad blocks any type of political process, why would he block it? He's the one who agreed to it. It makes no sense. It's like gassing your own people. Then the people come back because they want to return to Syria, and they elect Assad as their leader overwhelmingly, and Assad now is going to block a political process to end the war? No, I don't think so. What's happening here is they're trying to use anything they possibly have to try to stop what is about to happen here. Now, the new elections come up in 2021. In the past, a couple of years ago, when the deep state was in power, they really tried to stop the elections of Assad at that time, but there was an overwhelming turnout for Assad. And think about it. Why wouldn't the people want this? Assad brought in Russia. They removed the paid mercenary armies, the terrorists, Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, Al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda. They got rid of them. They liberated the area. They made it safe for the people to come back, and they are coming back in droves. Why wouldn't they? He gave them back. He gave the people back their homes. They have peace in these areas. They're not being threatened. They're not being terrorized anymore. The deep state has lost control. We see the Syrian-Jordanian border has opened for the first time in years, and they're going to start to have trade back and forth. But this time the border is controlled by the Syrian forces. Russia right now is saying that the S-300 air defense system is now operational in Syria. They're not telling us how many units there are, but I do believe that the S-300, I think they were there already. They just weren't turned on, and eventually they knew they were going to need them, and they turned them on, and I think more equipment is on its way, and they're locking down the entire airspace of Syria, and it's going to stop Israel. It's going to stop the deep state. It's going to stop all these different players. And remember, the deep state is the UK. The deep state is Germany, Australia. Many of those individuals in France are still working to remove Assad. And this is going to stop all of it. Let's get into some Q posts. Q dropped some more bread here. Post 2296 put up a tweet by Trump, said, just started tonight. Our 7th FBI investigation of Judge Brett Kavanaugh. He will someday be recognized as a truly great justice of the United States Supreme Court. Below this, Q gave us a link to C-SPAN, and it's a video of a senator, Senator Herino. Take a listen, because Q tells us to listen between 102 and 103, which is 1 hour, 2 minutes, 1 hour, 3 minutes. So take a listen to the video.
Plot to sabotage his nomination. Clearly, he was speaking to an audience of one, President Trump, a nominee for the Supreme Court, so rattled that he would buy into a vast conspiracy theory is astounding and dangerous. Let's not forget his exact words. Judge Kavanaugh said, and I quote, "This whole 2-week effort," he said, "has been a calculated and orchestrated political hit, fueled with apparent pent-up anger about President Trump and the 2016 election, fear that had been unfairly stoked about my judicial record, revenge on behalf of the Clintons, and millions of dollars in money from outside left-wing opposition groups." End quote. With that nakedly political screed, Brett Kavanaugh showed us who he really is.
So let's continue what Q says, and we'll discuss what this is all about. Below the 1 hour, 2 minutes, 1 hour, 3 minutes, it says the truth is right in front of you. Conspiracy label, brackets, all bold, caps. We had the votes. Swamp is fighting back. Evil knows no bounds. Prepare. Red October. Q. So what is happening here is Q is telling us that the senator is telling us exactly what is happening, and it is the truth. It's not a conspiracy. They're nervous and afraid because they know if Kavanaugh is confirmed, they're done for. Now, the mainstream media is out there, and they're saying that Trump is limiting the FBI investigation. Trump tweeted out saying, NBC News incorrectly reported, as usual, that I was limiting the FBI investigation of Judge Kavanaugh and witnesses only to certain people. Actually, I want them to interview whoever they deem appropriate at their discretion. Please correct your reporting. Now, remember, the swamp right now is labeling Brett Kavanaugh a conspiracy theorist. They're trying to make it seem like he's a kook, like a tinfoil wearing hat individual. But what's really happening here is they're letting everyone know that this is the truth, and those people that are paying attention know that this is the truth, and this is what they're using to try to convince people that it's still a conspiracy, which it is not. Now remember, Q continually tells us to trust Grassley, trust Sessions, trust many others. Now, Senator Grassley is doing something very interesting. He has referred potential false statements alleging misconduct by Judge Kavanaugh to federal law enforcement for criminal investigation after accuser recanted. So Grassley wrote a letter to Jeff Sessions and Director Wray, and the letter says the following. As you know, the Senate Judiciary Committee recently processed the nomination of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to serve as an Associate Justice on the Supreme Court. As part of the process, the committee has been investigating various alleged allegations made against Judge Kavanaugh. The committee's investigation has involved communicating with numerous individuals claiming to have relevant information. While many of those individuals have acted in good faith in providing the committee information during the investigation, unfortunately, it appears some have not. As explained below, I write today respectively referring Mr., and this is redacted, for investigation of potential violations of 18 U.S.C. Section 1001 and 1505 for materially false statements, Mr., and this is redacted, made to the committee as part of an investigation of allegations against Judge Kavanaugh. So it looks like Grassley went ahead and pushed forward an investigation, and we'll have to see how that turns out. Let's move on to post 2297. Q puts down, Twitter has been given the green light to blanket censor all content deemed to threaten their survival. Brackets bold election. Google, Facebook will follow. Expect Calm's blackout attempt. POTUS Twitter. So this is what we've been talking about, where the internet might go dark. And it's not the entire internet. I believe it's going to be social media, where they're going to be censoring everyone so nobody can communicate. The only people that will be able to communicate are those people that are on the side of the deep state. Everyone else will be censored, blacked out. And below this it says in brackets, rogue employee excuse, welcome to the police state. They know if they lose, it's over. The time to fight is now. Good versus evil. Humanity is at stake. Drop the memes. Remember, they can't read the memes. So everything you do on Twitter, everything you do on Facebook has to be in meme format, which is a graphic. So they really can't read the graphic. This is what Q has been telling us for quite a while. And we're going to start to see a lot of people just use memes now to communicate. And this way, they won't be able to read it, their algorithms will not be able to pick it up, and they will not be able to ban it right off the bat. Silent majority, no more. Be loud, you have a voice. Are you registered? Vote them all out. Prepare, Red October, we stand together. So this is why the presidential alert system is so important, because if everything is blacked out and nobody can hear or see what is going on, and we're only getting the information from those people who are on the side of the deep state and the mainstream media, you don't know what the real truth is. And the mainstream media and the deep state, the establishment, they've been trying to suspend POTUS's account for quite a while. I mean, if we look at the Washington Post, they have a headline article saying, Twitter users want Trump's Twitter account suspended for threatening North Korea. So what they're doing is they're going back to what he said on Twitter and looking at the terms of service on Twitter and saying this is why Trump's account should be suspended. And they're going to continually try over and over and over. So be prepared for this, because it is coming. After this whole ridiculous FBI investigation is over and Kavanaugh is then confirmed, we're going to see a lot of things change. And we're probably going to see a blackout of social media. Post 2298, Q put up a picture of an airline seat, and there's a file name here, alert, capital BAHWX71_Z9. That's the name of the picture. And below the picture, Q wrote /1-X air G in all caps _patrol _high check-in _Z brackets DES _capital TFC close bracket 381Q. Now, a lot of Annons have looked at this. First of all, the picture looks like it's from a 787, a Boeing 787, and that looks like it's probably a first-class seat. The other thing they noticed is the file name, and I'll get to the splash X and the rest. And it says alert BAHWX71_Z9. Now, many Annons said it stands for Bahrain, the BAH, Alert Bahrain Airport. And WX71, people are confused about that. Another Anon, and when I looked at it, this does make a little bit more sense. If you reverse this file name, the file name now says 9Z_17XWHAB alert. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, that sounds the same forwards and backwards. It makes no difference. But when you start to look at it very, very closely, it starts to make a little bit more sense, which I do believe, because if you look at the bottom of the picture, it says Splash 1X, Air G Patrol High, Check-in Z, DES TFC 381. So if you look at 9Z, well, 9 is September. Z is the last letter of the alphabet, which is 26. So that could mean September 26, or it could be 9 Zulu. Underscore 17. Well, 17, what's the 17th letter of the alphabet? That's Q. X, and then you have WH, White House. And then you have AB, Airborne. And then you have alert. So if you put it together, it could be September 26, Q, and White House, Airborne alert. Or it could be 9 Zulu, Q, and White House, Airborne alert. Now, if we look at the rest, Splash X1, this is a missile target destroyed. So one target in the air is shot down with a missile. If we look at the second part, Air G, this could be Air National Guard on high alert, underscore high. So we have a missile target destroyed. Something might have been shot down out of the air. Air National Guard is now on high alert. And then we have Check-in Z, which might be Zulu time. And if we look at the rest of the message, it says DES, which might mean destination. TFC, which is in all caps, could mean an airport in Italy, but if you look at the Air Traffic Management Glossary, the term TFC stands for traffic. So does that mean it's whatever Zulu time, destination, traffic, and it's maybe the flight number, the heading of 381? We don't know as of yet. And I'm sure Q will clear this up. So this part of the message is a little confusing. Still, we're doing research to find out what that really means. A lot of Annans are looking up different things, but I don't think we've locked that down as of yet. But what's very interesting is that an F-35B military plane crashed off the coast of South Carolina. And this was on September 28th. And this is what the news says it was. In Beaufort, South Carolina, a military plane crashed in coastal South Carolina on Friday. The Marine Corps said the pilot of the single-seat aircraft ejected safely. And the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office said the crash was reported around 11:45 a.m. near the Gray Hills community. So this was an F-35B. Don't know if this plane was taking down, if this plane was on a course maybe to intercept the president. We don't know exactly, but this is very interesting that it happened during the same time frame that Q came out with this message. And I'm sure Q in the next post will start to elaborate, or maybe another Annan or more research that we do will find out exactly what this and nail down completely. But what we know for sure is that the deep state is panicking and they're very nervous, and we know that they're getting ready to censor the internet. I believe when Kavanaugh is confirmed, which he will be, Q has already told us that it's a done deal here, and this FBI investigation is going to show up nothing, because when we just look at the story from Dr. Ford, there's so many inconsistencies that things don't even make sense. And all the other ones that are coming out, those are being debunked left and right. We already see Grassley pressing charges against certain people, and they're getting very, very nervous. And I believe this is why comms are going to be activated, ready to go, because otherwise, how do you get the message out? You can't allow the deep state to have control of the narrative. It will not work. So there needs to be a way. And remember, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google, they are controlled by the deep state, the intelligence team of the deep state. They were created by them. So they have the ability to ban, suspend, and blackout certain individuals. And I believe this is why the presidential alert is coming online, to keep the comms clear, to keep the news being pushed out to the people. And I believe this is what it's going to be used for. So it looks like the comms are being activated, ready for what is about to happen. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.